Christmas! Merry Christmas! Oh. My story begins in history. The person who came before me was Saint Nicholas. He was born and raised in Myra, Asia Minor. And in order to get to Myra, you would have to travel across the Atlantic Ocean, through the Straits of Gibraltar, and all the way to the eastern edge of the Mediterranean Sea, where you'd find a country that they now call Turkey. Myra is a southwestern port in Turkey. Today I am known as Santa Claus, and my story is a legend. Why, I remember...
Santa.
Who are you?
I am who I am. Yahweh. God. And this is my story. My story, Santa. May I go right in front of you, my son? My story, Santa, begins in history too. The person who I am, and my story begins in time and space, because I have always existed. I created time and space. My story took shape in the lives of my people, the Hebrew people.
Okay, Dad, can I continue with my story?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
The most famous lines of my story begin, "'Twas the night before Christmas."
And the most familiar beginning of my story begins, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." But tell us, Mr. Claus. Go ahead, tell us some more.
Well, St. Nicholas was just a young lad when he became a high church official. He was known as the boy bishop. He loved children, I know that, and he was known for his generosity.
Do you mean he was a person who knew how to give?
I guess so. He was the most famous Christian saint. He expected nothing in return for his good deeds.
Sounds a lot like me.
There's a story of how a great famine came across the people of Myra. And St. Nicholas went out to some passing ships and begged for some grain, which he gave away to the people. And then a miracle occurred. When the ships reached their port and they opened up the holds, all the grain that had been given away was back in the ship.
Sounds a lot like a story where my son took loaves of bread and fishes and fed 5,000 people.
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry, go on.
St. Nicholas was the saint of children. He would bake breads which he would stuff with sugars and spices from faraway lands, and he would give to the children. Cookie cutters from today often have the pointed cap of the bishop's mitre.
Sounds like something that happens right here at this communion rail, where we have communion every week.
St. Nicholas was a saint of the thieves. He had a special place in his heart for them, and he often forgave them.
And that reminds me of my son also, who pardoned the thief when he was sorry, and we hung on the cross.
Do you want to hear about St. Nicholas or not?
Oh, another story, yes.
St. Nicholas was a saint of the sailors. One time there was a ship off the coast of Myra. They were in a terrible storm and the sailors were having trouble controlling the ship. When all of a sudden a figure appeared who helped them with the ropes and the sails. And then the seas went calm. The sailors made their way into Myra. And the first thing they did when they got off of their boat is they went to find a church. There they recognized St. Nicholas. They went to thank him, but he told them to give thanks to God.
Sounds like my son again. Sounds like when he calmed the storm, brought the disciples home safely. That was the time he walked on water. But tell us how you, St. Nicholas, Santa, is a part of St. Nicholas.
Dutch seamen took the reports of the bishop's generosity back to Holland. And from there, the legend of St. Nicholas spread throughout Europe, so that they celebrate St. Nicholas Day every December 6th. And the Dutch, they changed how St. Nicholas looked to be something like this. They changed his bishop's mitre to be more of a woolen cap with a piece of holly. He wore a long white beard and smoked a Dutch pipe. And they changed his bishop's robes for breeches.
Well, Santa, you are not at all like St. Nicholas because he rode a horse, and you don't ride horses in America anymore, do you?
No, I don't. And St. Nicholas, he rode a horse, he would carry gifts for the good children and birch rods for the not-so-good. But it's more than just his appearance that's changed. His name has changed as well. St. Nicholas was Sanctus Nicolaus in Latin. In Dutch, it was Sinterklaas. And that became Santa Claus.
But more than your name has changed, you have to admit, why, you're a fat, jolly,
Wait a minute.
you're a fat, jolly character that's taken over Christmas.
There was a man named Washington Irving. He wrote a story about me and pictured me as riding through the air, driven by a reindeer. It was one of your fellows who put the finishing touches on it.
My guys,
Yeah, a minister named Clement Seymour. He wrote a poem for his children in December of 1822. Can you guess what it was called? 'Twas the night before Christmas.
so, now you're officially Santa Claus. However, St. Nicholas and my son have a lot in common.
People think you and I have a lot in common. And it's not just the beginning lines of our stories. Take, for example, where we live. At least you can find the North Pole on the map, but heaven, who knows where that is?
Heaven is a bit harder to find.
And people, they don't think you're very up to date. They have a hard time picturing just what you look like.
And you're a jolly old man with a red coat and a beard, and at least all the children can see you.
Kids write letters to me.
And people say prayers to me that often sound like letters to you.
I ride through the air on a sleigh driven by a reindeer and give gifts out and have elves help me.
Well, I guess it's no harder to believe in flying reindeer than it is in angels with wings.
Kids think I know everything, like whether or not they've been good or bad right before Christmas.
They know I know everything. Not just at Christmas, but all year long.
No wonder kids get confused.
Oh, Santa, it's not just the kids, it's the grown-ups too.
Really?
Really? Sure. Remember a while back I mentioned my son?
Yeah?
Well, Christmas was originally about my son's birth, right? Well, his role, my son's birth
During the Advent season?
During the Advent season, and Santa turned 2 pages. Okay, so Santa, Christmas was originally about my son's birth, and Nicholas was an Advent saint during Advent.
This is the Advent season, isn't it?
That's right. And his role, St. Nicholas's role, was to remind people of my generosity. I didn't just pass around toys and video games and aftershave. I gave the ultimate gift. I gave my son.
Yeah, but people have forgotten all of that. Is that my fault?
Well, no, I wouldn't place the blame entirely on you. Department stores and malls, they've dressed you up. They've put you in a red snowsuit. They've changed your bishop's mitre for a jolly old hat. A fool's cap.
Oh.
And you know what, Santa? They let you chuckle your way through my people's lives.
Ho, ho, ho.
That's right. It's time my people remembered what Christmas is all about. Listen carefully, children. Christmas is about the wonder and the mystery of my son's birth. In all the busyness of the season, they miss the wonder and the mystery. They don't know how to get ready. Or maybe they've just forgot.
Does that mean I have to be left out?
No, Santa. We can still have you around, and I think with some reminders of your purpose, you could still fit in. But we must remember the prophets, Mother Mary, Father Joseph on the way to Jerusalem, the angels appearing to the shepherds with their flocks. We need to remember the Star of David. We need to remember the 3 kings, the gold, the frankincense, the myrrh, the camels, the dogs. Oh.
This list could go on forever, and it's getting late and I have to be going.
I know. That's the trouble. People are the same way. Just as they get really close to understanding Christmas, a lot of busyness interferes. They're so busy that they can't get close enough to the manger.
What manger?
Oh, you remember. The manger where my son was born.
You let your son be born in a barn?
Yes, I did. But that wasn't the most amazing part. The most amazing part was that he was born at all, Santa. Because it meant me, God, the creator of time and space, and all that ever was, and all that ever will be. I came to earth as a man.
Why would you do that?
Why would I do that? Well, because I love the world so much. I wanted to provide for my people, and it had to be a sacrifice. And it had to be my son.
Wow. Now I understand what you mean about giving gifts. You really gave a special gift.
Yes, I did. I gave my son. And some people believe in it more than they believe in flying reindeer and elves. And they put their lives on the line to come and follow me and my son. And for them, my people, it's not just another holiday. It's a holy day. It's a celebration. Well, Santa, I think it's time for you to do your thing, and for me to do mine.
Mine's saving gifts. What's yours?
Santa, my thing is saving lives.
Well, God,
Excuse me, my children.
I'm glad we've had this time to sit and talk with you, but I too must be on my way. And so I wish you and all your children of all ages a blessed Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!